Number 30. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes,
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
and today is going to be almost like the Old Man Orange book club cast because we just got a ton of cool books and whatnot that we've read and partially read. That sounds lazy, but that came out in about the last month or so.
But before we jump into that, I took one of the drunk Batmans to It's a Film Fest, which is a local short
You
film
should
fest.
say it like ITSA because when you say it's
Yeah,
it
it
doesn't make
is.
any sense.
Yeah, but anyway, it's spelled ITSA, and one like all together, no periods or nothing like that. And there are some pretty good movies there. There's some really nice people there that we met, some very talented people. There's someone I met there very briefly was Brett Steinley. He played John F. Kennedy in three movies. There's a movie coming out where he's gonna play John F. Kennedy. He played him in Watchmen and Transformers 3, and he was there with a short film called Kaleidoscope, which is the short science fiction story. That was a pretty good movie.
Interesting.
A guy named Ari Costa was there. He works at NBC, and he actually made a really funny short film called Leader of the Pack, kind of like corruption within within the Boy Scouts, kind of like back alley deals they make with mobsters and bribing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Boy
Pretty,
Scouts have been kind of the popular thing for film and news recently.
yeah, and that was a pretty good one. Um, then there was a movie called Born Yesterday, which was kind of a dramatic comedy by a guy named Nathan Larkin Connolly. And somebody who was in this movie which was really surprising to me, and she was actually at the festival, was someone named Larissa Oleanic. I
And
think
I
that's
don't think I know who that is.
what
I don't know who that is.
that girl. She's actually you didn't watch a lot of Nickelodeon when you were a kid. I did. She was the star of Out the Secret World of Alice and Mac.
Hmm.
That was a show. You remember the show? The chick could turn into
No, I
water.
didn't really have Nickelodeon. I just had Cartoon Network. I had satellite.
Well, something else she was in. She was in 10 Things I Hate About You. You've seen that.
I've never seen that movie. I actually know of that movie.
You know of it? Okay. Well, she plays Julia Stiles' sister in that movie. She's like one of the main characters. She was really nice. Like I accidentally, I kind of pulled us. I pulled what I call a Spencer Scott Holmes in front of her by accident.
You insulted her somehow by not really meaning to, but it just kind of came out that way.
Sort of. It just kind of came out that way. Like I didn't mean it to. Like she was up there, and after they showed her movie Born Yesterday, which won best at the festival. Um, I was like waiting. I think it was a line to the buffet or something like that. And she just got done doing a Q&A up there, and I was just stand behind her. She stand behind me, and I said like, "Oh, really good job with the movie." She's like, "Oh, thank you." It's like being up there. It was like 3 hours, and man, I'm probably overthinking this. I'm like, "Oh, you weren't that bad." But I was just like, I don't know. I just think you weren't that
Not
bad,
bad.
but she was really good though. I think later since I got a picture with her, I think she's like, oh, well, I said, good job once again, good job with the movie. So I don't think I think I covered it a little bit. So I made a little bit of little insult, not too bad though.
Yeah.
And then very briefly, I just want to go over a few other movies. We got a lot to talk about, so just a few things because let's see, what was one? There's a guy there that I met. He did an interview with. I did an interview with him. His name was Kevin Fox, and he has a production company called Fox Films and Fox Photography. Really nice guy, really cool guy.
Boy, he went really creative on that name there. I'm gonna
He's
take
a
my
good
last name.
guy. No,
No, it just comes across as one of those ones like, there's this ginormous company called Fox,
his last name's Fox.
but still, just one of those ones like you think that like if you're in like that kind of business, you think you would have noticed the comparison
He
there.
changed the logo.
Well, yeah, I'm
There's
assuming.
actually a foxtail on the tail. No, he's a good guy. No need to shit in the mouth. He
Oh, yeah,
actually
I'm not saying anything against the person. I'm just saying
yeah
something against like the name. You know what I mean?
he was
I'm just
actually.
gonna go create my company called Disney.
It's not like
Well, we,
that.
we make film and animations. Come on, what?
It's not like that.
My last name's Disney, for Christ's sakes.
He actually posted some Batman stuff on Facebook for us a little bit ago. So yeah. But anyway,
I'm not saying anything against it. I'm just
I know.
saying just the name. You know, it just kind of comes with some of the funny. You know, it's like I'm gonna get into the computer business. What are you gonna call it? I'm gonna call it Microsoft.
Oh whatever. Well, he was a good guy. He has his own company which is doing pretty good. He primarily does a lot of documentaries on like the cattle industry and rodeos and whatnot.
That's cool.
He showed one called Haulers, which is about people transporting cattle and whatnot around the country. He showed like a 23
It's like
minute.
City Slickers, but a documentary.
Yeah. Well, no, it's actually through trucking.
Oh, haulers. I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about cattle ranching for a second.
Yeah. Well, he has documentaries on that too. He came out with a I didn't see it, but he came out with a rodeo one last year called "Changing the Game," and he's a really cool guy. He it was generally about that movie. Apparently, he showed like 23 minutes of it, but that was pretty much a shortened version. He's going to come out with a full length version, so keep your eyes out for that. I'm looking forward to checking that out. There's another movie I saw called Reclamation, which is a post-apocalyptic film. It actually had one of the people from Carnival in it. I actually got a chance to talk to this dude. He was really nice. He was really friendly. His name was David Lithner. I'm sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing his name. But he's a really cool guy. And his girlfriend, Sarah. I'm always good with last name. I'm always good with first names, not last names. But she was in the movie. She was it was about this guy. It's pretty much kind of like a science fiction version of Seekers, is what he was kind of going for. It's about this guy trying to find his niece after the end of the world. Her name, what was it again? It was Sarah Veneset, I think. I think it was her last name. Trying to blank on that one. But anyway, yeah, that really cool people, really talented group of people at this year's ITSA. So I'm looking forward to it next year, and looking forward to bring some maybe something aside from Drunk Batman, but we'll see. Yeah. Anyway.
Interesting. Well, let's go on to the big topic.
All right. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Oh, that doesn't matter to me, really. Choose any book. We got 4 of them to choose from, I guess.
We got 4 books. How about we start off with, because I think majority of our audience probably wants the comic stuff. So let's go with, we'll open up with a comic and we'll end with a comic. So
okay. How about we start with yours?
Mine? Okay.
Yeah.
I just picked up Volume 1 of Justice League Dark from the New 52. I'm not gonna lie. We were looking like, well, we should probably do one on comics. We haven't done one on comics in a while. We're looking around, and Spencer's found Nightwing. I was like, motherfucker. So then I'm like, okay, what do we got? We got Justice League Dark and then Legion. I was like, no way I'm fucking reading Legion. And Justice League Dark was sitting there. I'm like, you know what? I don't really know anything about these characters in it. I mean, I know of John Constantine. I know of Zatanna in Deadman. But aside from that, I don't really know anything about him. And it looks interesting. So I just picked up the book. And generally, is what it sounds like. It's pretty much most of DC's supernatural-based characters all working together in a in kind of like a dark Justice League, in a supernatural-themed Justice League. And there's a character, I mean, like most of them I don't even know. Like, what were the characters again? There is Deadman, there is Zatanna, there is John Constantine, Madame Xanadu. Let's see. She's kind of a villain for a while, but and I'm not sure if she's going to become a member of the team. Because for a while they're trying to stop her. This character named Enchantress, and then Shade, which is a guy with a magical coat that can make him bend matter, I guess.
Oh.
This is really some of those like DC characters. Like, where the fuck did this guy come from? You know?
Well, the funny thing too is because I thought of like the New 52. It's like, okay, we're gonna kind of like, we're gonna take DC and make it a little bit easier for people to come in because people who don't have $100 to spend a month on every single issue we have. Mm-hmm. But now it's like I'm looking at the New 52. It's like, no, they're really just kind of going back to making as many things as they possibly can. And
I'm pretty sure Justice League Dark is a new series though, and I don't really know if they.
Well, no, some of them are new series. I'm just saying for like how many, because I thought that was kind of when the New 52 came out. I thought that was the whole point, was to make it like, let's make it simple so that we obviously know not all our fans have all this money to keep up with all the stories, so we need to simplify it up.
Well, since they're starting everything off at 1, they're even re-releasing. They're even like coming out with like. Because before, some of the books you see just in your standard, like, say, Barnes & Noble or whatever, they would be kind of like, they had Hawk and Dove at Barnes & Noble. That's something you never see. That's one you got to go to, like, you either have to order it or you have to go to, like, a specialty store, like a specialty comic book store with a huge selection to find something like that, at least from my experience. And now it seems like they're just trying to get as many people as they possibly can. And I'm not sure if some of these characters in the series were canceled, so they just threw them all together in this book, but that's kind of what it is. It's so I named off the characters. Generally, what's going on is, I guess, Enchantress. She's a witch that was killed off, and now she's getting her revenge. And part of her personality was split off, which was this blonde girl, looks just like Enchantress. Well, for a while, whenever they show Enchantress, she looks like a crazy old zombie bitch. But then once the other part of her, the good part of her, is a blonde girl named June Moon, and she's just like there's clones of zombie Enchantress and June Moon just going around causing all kinds of like problems, like cutting people, like scalping people alive. The book actually gets pretty dark, pretty violent, just weird random shit. Like there's a part where a tidal wave of computer monitors hits a city, and on the computer monitor is just like graphic, disturbing images.
Oh, that's
So
kind of cool.
it's just really weird stuff like that. And of course, you got that whole kind of like we're a team, but we don't really get along. We're all just kind of brought together just by these circumstances, kind of like the way every superhero team usually comes about. And
Yeah, sometimes that can always be kind of like one of those ones like, well, either form a team and be together, or
well, this book starts off like originally it doesn't even seem like they're a part of a team because what happens is, I mean, they might bump into each other here and there on and off, but generally each character has their own thing going on, and then eventually they all come together because this event is happening simultaneously around the world. And what happens at one point is Cyborg, Superman, and Wonder Woman trying to jump in and stop it, but they get their asses kicked. So Zatanna, who I guess is kind of like the main leader of the team, not the main, I wouldn't say she's the leader of the team, but she's kind of like, I guess, the main focus of the team because she's probably the most well known out of all these characters. Um, she jumps in and she says, "Well, I got to go stop it." And then from there on in, it's the way I viewed it, she was primarily maybe because she's the one I knew the most about.
yeah, she was in Batman.
She's in Batman, so I immediately cared for her a little bit more. And so what's happening is eventually what happens is they fuse June Moon together with Enchantress, and from there things kind of go back to normal, and she ends up being a good person again, I guess. I'm not sure if Enchantress will become a member of the team. The person that kind of brings them all together is Madame Xanadu, which is someone I never heard of. And then there's like I said, there's a guy named Shade who his ability is he can bend matter and make whatever he wants happen out of like this coat. And there's a part where earlier on in the
explain
book,
where he gets his coat from?
I think it's passed down or something. I don't remember. It's like these are all characters I have no idea about.
What do you mean you don't know? What, you don't got money to just buy random comics of random characters that you don't ever hear about?
I know about Dead Man. Did I say Dead Man?
You did in the beginning.
Dead Man, I know about him from Justice League Unlimited, and I know I've seen him around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought he was a pretty cool character because he's a dead acrobat who he has the ability to fuse with. He has the ability to possess other people, and that seems like a lame ability. But he's actually pretty cool. And there's a scene actually which he's actually dating Dove from Hawk and Dove. Remember, Hawk and Dove used to be two guys, but now Hawk and Dove is a guy and a girl. Mm-hmm. So
makes sense. I feel really bad for the guy who had to be Dove. Like, yo, I could be Hawk, but you gotta be Dove. Why? Because you're the pussy of the group.
Well, from what I saw, because I don't really know anything about Hawk and Dove aside from an episode of Justice League Unlimited, which is one of them. Like Hawk was all like they were martial artists. Hawk did all this, very aggressive, straightforward, like martial arts. Dove was more of kind of like almost like Jackie Chan style, almost kind of like using their attacks against them, like not really like fighting,
using his environment,
being very passive, never really laying a punch. So, but if you do something to deflect their attack, knock them out, he wouldn't do anything. But it's a girl in this one. So, and there's a part where he can't since he's a ghost, he can't really fuck anybody. So, but he's dating Dove. So there's a part where he's possessed a guy. And he's all like saying, "Come on, let's go to your place for a little while." I was like, "No, it's just kind of weird. We don't know what this guy is. We don't know." He's like, "Oh, he's clean. Trust me. I'm reading his mind right now. It's fine. Don't worry about it." Then some girl at the bar comes, just slaps him. "We're engaged. What the hell are you doing?" So
that's funny.
So Dead Man goes and ruins this guy's life. And then later, June Moon.
Well, at least he wasn't trying to fuck the old Dove. Just lead him upstairs.
Yeah. I guess that's a good plus to everything, though. So, so he ends up going. They end up going he goes inside June Moon's head for a second to double check and see if because Enchantress is trying to find her, and Dead Man's trying to protect Enchantress from. I mean, he's trying to protect June Moon from Enchantress. Shade is trying to bring them together. I believe it's Shade. I read this book like a week ago, and I've read 4 other books after it, so I'm a little. So some of this is a little rusty. I'm not gonna lie.
Sounds kind of like movies. It's like if you don't see it more than once, like in week, then you can't remember every detail.
Plus, a lot was going on. So he goes inside June Moon's head for a second, looks around, tries to find some information, and he's still in her body. So he goes up to Dove and has a conversation with her, like, "Listen, don't worry, we'll get this all straightened out. We'll make this work. We'll make this happen." Then shows us part of. Keep in mind, he's in June Moon's body. He's stroking her cheek in June Moon's body. "Don't worry, sweetheart, this will work out." Next thing you see, Dove just driving down the car and just down the street with just the most pissed off look in her eye,
in his face.
And I just
keep picturing the guy, and it makes it even funnier for some reason.
I kept on thinking of Dove as a guy for the longest time. But yeah, no. Girl now, which I think was a smart move on their marketing plan, on their marketing scheme. So, and then Shade, his whole part, I'll just try and wrap them all up as quickly as I can. No, it's actually John Constantine that wants to fuse Enchantress with June Moon. That's who it is. Anyway, Shade, he's a little guilt-ridden. He's got his own thing going on at the same time. What happened earlier on is he can, whatever he wants to happen, happens through this, he can construct matter through his jacket for the 5th time. And earlier on in the book, he just has this girl who's his ultimate sex fantasy named Kathy. And whenever he's done with her, he has all these fake memories for her. She goes back in his coat, and he always feels horribly bad about it. Like, wait, I'm not real? What? Just goes back in his coat. That's it. So whenever he needs to get his dick wet, that's what happens. He brings this girl out. Well, at some point, a dark spell attacks his coat. So when she comes out, she's all deformed and all zombified. And he's like, oh, get the fuck away from me! Accidentally makes her explode. And
I thought I was gonna fuck her still. Like it's
No.
just like
she wanted to fuck him.
Changed.
No, that didn't happen. That'd be pretty ballsy if that was the case. No, he like blows her up. He's like, oh god, he feels horrible about it. So then
I'm fucking a dead person. I got standards.
So then what he goes is he is like 2 or 3 times throughout the book he tries to like bring her back to life and reform her through something else, and it always ends up turning into some abomination that tries to kill him in the end. So he has to kill her again, So that's why don't play with magic, kids.
Magic is deadly and scary.
Very much so, especially in this book. And John Constantine is being John Constantine, being a smartass, smoking, being angry, trying to fuse June Moon. Enchantress.
Seems like everybody's just trying to fuse. It's like the whole point is like, let's get fused.
Yeah. Just like dark. Let's fuse.
Let's get fused tonight.
That could be the tagline to this. And it's a good book. It's one of those things. I'm not sure. I'll pick up the next one. I'm not sure if the series I'm totally going to get into because, like I said, it's a bunch of characters I don't really know enough about. And I'd say Zatanna is more the most normal character, the most toned down character, the most kind of like, let's get our shit together, guys. Even though she kind of
like Batman, she doesn't really ever. She just kind of comes across as like, I do magic, and I tour.
Yeah. Well, no, I always liked her. She has a scene
I really like this
Batman.
guy named Bruce Wayne at one point in time, and
well, they
later on, he didn't even tell me that he was just here to learn how to do magic for becoming Batman.
Which Batman never even bothered to learn magic. Batman's like, magic? Fuck that. That's just kind of gay.
That's gay. How do you get out of those chains over there, though? That's what I want to know. I don't care about the rest of this shit. I know you're telling me that I got to learn all the card stuff first, but here, let me tell you this. Why I showed up here is I don't want to be a musician. I mean, a magician. Fuck it. You told me this all this music stuff, too. What the fuck is that all about? What I really wanted is how to get out of those fucking chains right there. Because at some point, somebody's going to put me in chains.
And then drop me in water.
It's just bound to happen, you see? And I spent an entire year here, and I still don't know how to get out of those chains. In fact, I never even touched those chains.
But anyway, so
back to Zatanna here.
You look at me,
fuck her, but you know what? I decide I can't get out of those chains.
She put me in those chains. Said, "You get out of these chains, you can fuck me." Oh, god damn it! No, so that's what happens in that book, and Batman doesn't fuck her, but no, Batman at some point he's like, Zatanna. I like whenever we do Batman. It's actually because whenever I read Batman, I don't hear drunk Batman, but whenever I just do Batman, it always is that. He's like, Zatanna, I don't want you doing this on your own. It's too damn dangerous. And, then she, like, does something to make him stay back and goes through a little vortex thing to save the day. And at the end of the day, Madame Xanadu...
Like Batman's in that one?
Very briefly. He has a scene with Zatanna.
That's cool.
Just to remind you, because a lot of these are Vertigo characters, I guess just one of those things, just to remind you, this takes place in the DC universe, Oh,
I feel that's almost like kind of what it is. Like, let's take these Vertigo characters, slap a couple of DC characters in there, and then put the New 52 thing on there, just, to remind kids at home.
Which I'm not completely sure if Vertigo is, I'm not sure if Vertigo was its own separate universe, or if it was just like the other side of the DC universe, which we never saw. Because I have a DC encyclopedia. There's apparently a time when John Constantine and Swamp Thing worked together. I don't know if that was a crossover of some sort, but yeah, so who knows?
Is John Constantine in the DC universe thing?
Not that I know of.
In the encyclopedia, I mean?
He's not in there. It's only there's a thing of crazy team ups, and that's the only area he's in.
Huh.
So
that's like, for some reason, Deadpool's not in the X-Men encyclopedia. Why? I don't know. And neither is
Hush isn't in the Batman. Well, Hush isn't in the DC encyclopedia. They mention him.
He's in the Batman encyclopedia, but I think that's just a newer one.
I mean, they mention him several times, but he doesn't have his own little bio in there.
But it's funny because in the X-Men one though, it's like this was totally off topic, but that
Mhm.
Deadpool, he appears in other people's like pictures, but he doesn't have his own fucking like little section for him.
Yeah, that's life. He probably has one now. It's probably an older encyclopedia.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's like 2005.
So now, if Deadpool's gonna get his own movie, he's gonna get his own encyclopedia.
Yeah, but just small ones. Like,
At least his own
how could he
encyclopedia
appear in other
bio.
people's shit and then not have to be there?
Whatever. That's life. But no, Wade Wilson wasn't really getting love until like late 2000s, really.
Yeah.
So maybe mid 2000s. Let's go with mid 2000s. That's when he started to build up more of a weird fan basis. But I don't know why I said weird fan basis, but it's a weird comic, but a good one. But anyway, back to Justice League Dark. So at the end of it, after they stop Enchantress and she no longer turns into a zombie crazy witch bitch, Madame Xanadu calls them all back, says, "Listen, we got to be a team, but we hate each other. But it's for the good of the people. Okay, if you say so." You know, it has that kind of ending.
Yeah.
And it's
like,
not as cheesy
how can we
as
keep
that.
this like team glued together?
Yeah.
It's not like the Justice League that formed for all like the same reasons, pretty much.
Well, in the Justice League New 52, which we never did because I think it was before we even did the podcast. That one was very much kind of like, that was more of just like a bunch of action. That one felt more like a summer blockbuster movie rather than I mean, you know, sometimes not every comic book is like a deep meaningful piece of art, but this one was very much like these characters just happen to come in there all at the same time. What was cool about it is the government was scared of superheroes, and that's what kind of brought them together out of this. That like Dark Side was coming down and attacking, and they were trying to stop it, and then they all came together at the end and saved the day. So, and then at the end, like, well, I guess we got to work together. And Hal Jordan's kind of like the smart ass throughout the whole Green Lantern. Hal Jordan, it's kind of the smart ass throughout the whole thing. Cyborg's kind of like the young kid. He's like, I don't know, guys, but I'll do my best, you know. And Batman's Batman, so he's fucking badass constantly.
Batman's always good.
Superman's a little bit more like muscle, and Wonder Woman's kind of like naive because she's just getting used to like.
Because she's a woman.
It's not her fault. No,
it's not her fault. She was growing up a bunch of lesbians and finally saw a man one day and didn't know what to do.
No. It's more like she's more of kind of like a. She doesn't know. They kind of treat it somewhat comedically. She just got back. It's actually written by Jeff Jones. She just gets back to. She gets to America after being on Amazon Island this whole time, and from there. It's her trying to fit in and trying to understand things. They focus on it very briefly. It doesn't focus on it too long. But anyway, this book right here, I hear Swamp Thing's going to come in later. I don't know if that's true. That's kind of something I've heard around the grapevine, though. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, I might pick up the next one. We'll just see what happens. Another book I actually read, though, this isn't on the list so much, but I'll wrap this one up pretty quickly. There's one called Batman Death by Design, which this actually, you know what? I've been talking a while. Why don't you talk about your book, and I'll come back to Batman Death by Design.
You're just gonna let people hear about Batman and not talk about him?
Well, they hear. It's not an Old Man Orange podcast unless we say Batman or unless we do a drunk Batman impersonation.
Well, I got a book that's
we'll come
totally
back
off Batman. This is not Batman whatsoever. It's called Nightwing. And
I wish that was the one I read, but go ahead, yeah.
This is the one I was like, when I heard that there was a Nightwing New 52 one, I was like, that sounds really badass. I've actually never read a Nightwing book. Mm-hmm. It's something I've always wanted to pick up, though, is Nightwing. You know, just something I only knew Nightwing as Dick Grayson as Robin, and then as Dick Grayson being Nightwing and other Batman stuff, where he shows up for a bit, then goes away, shows up for a bit, then goes away. But this one is pretty cool. I enjoy it. There were some characters and stuff in there that you're like, what the fuck? I don't know. But it did actually feel kind of classic. More, because what happens is that the Haley Circus or whatever, the one that he was a part of when he was a youngin' before his parents died, finally makes their like they finally do a circus in Gotham. They haven't done that ever since his parents died. And then I thought I saw you counting.
Was I counting?
I don't know. It looked like you're counting. But so that just shows back up, and then Dick decides like, okay, I'm gonna show up here and just show up, whatever. Fuck it. It's in the past.
See if nobody recognizes me.
It's been 80 fucking years.
Hey, orphan boy!
No, yeah, everybody recognizes him the second he shows up.
Dude, I haven't seen you since your parents died. How have you been?
Yeah, that's almost kind of how it goes. Well, they see one guy, there's like the clown guy. His name's like Jimmy. I don't know if that's his exact name, but
Jimmy.
He has a name like that.
I couldn't think of a
he's
better.
Just sitting there like his like shoulder, or I mean, his elbow's like on his knees, like leaning over, smoking a cigarette, kind of like, like Jimmy, what are you up to? Same old, being a clown.
This sounds kind of like a mid '90s like Carl's Jr. commercial.
You mean like a mid 2000s?
Mid 2000s, yeah.
Midnight, like Carl's Jr. Where the fuck are you at?
Well, no, that's what our Carl Sr. ad that we made. That's almost kind of what those were inspired off. The Carl's like the mid 2000 ones. It's like Carl's Jr. Burger, fries, and a Coke. Fuck my life. But anyway, yeah, so Jimmy the Clown's a Carl. All right, Carl's Jr. Yeah.
So yeah, he he's there. He's kind of sad, and then like Dick runs into let's keep on calling him Robin, but Dick runs into Rhea, which is like apparently like his old like well, he grew up like with her at the circus. I was gonna say girlfriend, but they're like 10 fucking years old back then, so I don't know if that's the same fucking thing. Whatever. They hit it off and just start.
They
fucking
played
right
doctor.
Away. Yeah, they played doctor, and now they just end up like Robin just gets laid a lot in this one, or Dick.
Was it like, I haven't seen you so long. It's like, what are we gonna do to make up the time? Was it something like that, or they
Almost like first she's like no, they played it off differently because she's like I don't really want to go out with you, but forever long we're together, we should just really enjoy the moment.
That's open to interpretation.
So like that, so pretty much that means let's just keep fucking until you leave. And then
I slipped through the book. Was that the redhead?
Yeah, she's like she looks. There's a part where like Barbara Gordon comes into it too, as Batgirl and whatnot, and they look when you look at them like side by sides, like they really didn't put enough. They didn't draw these two like enough different looking. They look like the exact same character when they're standing next to each other. They both have red hair. Their facial features are pretty much the same.
Tim always did have a thing.
Like it took me like I had to go left and right. Which one is? I know somebody's angry at somebody, but I'm not too sure which one's which.
I wonder if Dick did. Like, all right, remind me, which one's which again? I'm already forgetting.
Well, at first,
I fucked both of you. I know that much, but
Barbara comes by and she's like, "Yo, I need some help," and like Dick's like, "Sure." And then like she comes back and they're like, change back their regular clothes, and then Rhea comes in, she's like, "What the fuck?" And Dick's like, "Yo, come on. I mean, like, we're just old pals, we just went out. I mean, what do you expect us to do?" Anyways, you said this was we're not dating. We're just fucking. I mean, come on.
I'm Nightwing. It's what I do.
Yeah, well, so, for some reason, this book too, everybody fucking knows who like Nightwing is. Like, really?
Rhea knew that he was Nightwing. He told her.
No, Rhea didn't know, but the guy who owns Haley Circus is like, "I'm old and crusty now, and I don't want." And he's like, at this point, he's like, "I don't want my fucking son to have the circus. I was always gonna give it to your parents, and I know it's been 70 fucking years, but I still don't want to give it to my goddamn son. Dick, you'll be perfect for it. Here you go, have the circus." Dad.
Is like
and then the son's like, "Fucking Dick, fucking Dick comes back and he's been here for 70 fucking years and just all of a sudden, oh look at me, I'm Dick, I get to run a circus. My parents died, and I went to a billionaire's house. Do.
Yeah, like what was the kid's name? Jimmy. No,
Jimmy's not the
clown.
kid. Jimmy's the old clown guy.
The kid's just kind of like.
I don't remember the young. Nobody's kids anymore because everybody's grown up.
Yeah.
But
was the son just a dick the whole time, or was he just?
Well, he's just kind of always just like arrogant against like I don't know. Well, I
was
guess
he the guy
it's that thing? It's like should be my circus.
Was he just like? Was he someone important, or was he just shoveling like elephant shit the whole time?
He was somebody kind of important, and I think he actually
like he's been working here 40 years for my dad, and just been shoveling elephant shit this whole time.
It doesn't even bother. He just gives it to the first kid that shows up. But
I want to join the circus. How about this? Do you have the circus? Really? Yeah.
Here's one thing I think it's dumb in two ways. One, in like a classic way, when they show like these flashbacks to Dick's parents, they're wearing like these like Nightwing like outfits, and I always thought that's like unless this is a brand new thing,
the Robin outfits.
Yeah, weren't they always wearing the color? They weren't even wearing the Robin outfits. They were just wearing the colors of that. Yeah,
it was like kind of like proto Robin.
And in this one, they're wearing the Nightwing outfits for some goddamn reason. And the thing is, it looks so similar to the Nightwing. It's like, who the fuck's not gonna notice? Put two and two together. What is he wearing out there? It's the exact same fucking outfit. It just comes across one of those ones like, I mean, how are you supposed to have a secret identity if you don't? If you're wearing the fucking same outfit like that? I just thought that was kind of dumb.
And if you're fucking everything
and plus,
that moves.
it just kind of makes out like it almost makes it like the Robin, Dick being like Robin doesn't make any like it didn't exist. I mean, it's there, but
yeah,
I thought that was kind of dumb. I don't know.
Well, keep in mind we're in a city that doesn't put together. you know what? There's this Bat guy. He has a jet. He has a fucking million cars. Yeah, you know, what is Bruce Wayne doing at night? I never see Bruce Wayne around. What do you think he's up to, you know?
I guess, but they kind of see the thing about that is like that kind of comes across as like he's kind of more of a recluse. He shows up to things, but then he kind of goes back home and hides out, and everybody just thinks he's back there banging 5 chicks at once.
Well, it's also kind of funny because like Ra's al Ghul was the first one like, you're the only one that could really afford these things. You'll be like, Ra's al Ghul's a fucking genius. Like, no, he's just fucking observant.
Yeah, well, fucking Tim Drake figured it out too, like a 10-year-old boy. Like, shit, what do you mean? I'm a 10-year-old boy. Shit, 10. But I kind of like the way that like Robin, like he describes, like the way that I like to work on like Bruce is instead of like living like 10 miles outside the city, held up in a like, like my mansion. I like to live directly in the city, and he's got like an apartment kind of like in the bad area because he's like, shouldn't I be where the crime fucking is?
Mm-hmm.
They got some kind of cool things like that.
Well, Batman needs a place to fit all his shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all
Jake doesn't have anything but a motorcycle. I don't know where he kind of hides if he lives in an apartment. This kind of like I started thinking these things together, and I was like, well, whatever.
There's probably some like secret elevator that fucking leads into the sewer or some bullshit,
Yeah, but what happens in this story though, and once again, this goes with the motorcycle thing too. Where the fuck did he hide this again? But since he owns a circus now, he's like kind of like going on the traveling circus. So now he's going all across, like I think it was all across the country, but then I think they got like Australia at one point or something too. So what he's doing is he's fighting crime in different towns now, just like wherever there's crime or wherever they're at, he's gonna go out and find that crime and fight it. Because clearly somebody else ain't fucking doing their job there. So he's going around fighting crime.
I wonder if he ever just to piss off Batman, like goes to Jim Gordon. It's like, here's the Nightwing symbol. Just flash it next
pops it off.
Just makes it bigger than Batman's, like Batman's symbol goes up right next to it, like Nightwing symbol goes off, it's like 10 times bigger.
What the fuck? But so he's doing that, and then it kind of has this little plot thing going together that there's this character named, what the fuck's the character name? Seiko, who's pretty much like Wolverine, with like if Wolverine was kind of like this assassin guy. He looks like the mix of like Wolverine and like sort of like Deadpool, just like his costume-ish. I mean, it's not red, but he kind of has like this kind of like, secretive spy, assassin costume.
I flipped through it. Does he work for the Court of Owls?
Seiko doesn't. That comes up later. Or if it did, I didn't catch that one right away. The Court of Owls thing comes in the long run to the very end, where like Robin shows up and he's like, what? Or Dick shows up. He's like, what the fuck, Bruce? Why didn't you tell me? I figured out that my goddamn grandfather, or that I was supposed to be in the lineage of the Court of Owls, because the whole time there's like this book. He's like, why is my name fucking in this book? And then Bruce just like backhands was like,
can I see that book for a second? Because that's actually...
Look at the back. It's
may be
very like last like 10 pages maybe.
I think this is within the Court of Owls. I have that book and I told that story.
And then he just and then
they took.
And then Bruce was like, yo, check this out. Your grandfather was Talon, this guy that I have here and operating on right now.
Yeah, this is like they took a couple of pages right out of that and just threw it in here.
The Court of Owls.
Yeah, out of the Court of Owls.
So they have that, and then you learn later on that that character Seiko and this guy named Raymond, which I can't remember if that is or not the boy, but he's part of the guy at the circus, and him and the girl Rhea are working to like against Robin.
Oh, okay.
Like they figure out that they set up this whole thing in Gotham, like this tribute show to like the Flying Graysons. And that's just
So Rhea's just been fucking them to use them to get.
Pretty much, she's just being used.
Oh. So. He was just fucking her. So
he was just fucking her. He was like, whatever, we're not dating.
He says, "You realize I just, you realize I just fucked my arch nemesis. That's awesome." It's kind of like one of those things. Like this is actually, I'm gonna like paraphrase a joke here, but like Kevin Smith they were talking about like that was like one of the worst revenge schemes ever. Like in Dark Knight Rises, he's like, he fucked like Talia like I'm gonna get even with my father's arch nemesis by fucking him. Bruce Wayne had to be thinking right when he got stabbed like I fucked my arch nemesis daughter. That's awesome.
No, yeah, that's kind of almost probably how it came across.
In this book
Nightwing.
too, yeah.
But it was a pretty cool book. I liked it. I feel like I need to read it again just for the fact it feels like it's not like when you read a Batman one, you're like, oh, okay, I kind of I know this, that, and stuff. It just feels like I know Dick, I know Barbara. The circus, yeah, sure, circus, yeah, whatever. They don't really talk about that too much in the bat.
The tagline for the Nightwing series should be "You don't know Dick."
Until you read Nightwing.
That's what really the tagline for that series should be.
No, it was one of those books. When I was done, I was like, I'm gonna flip through this before we talk about it, and then I just never got back to that part. Then I just had other shit to do and whatnot, and yeah, and then I started going back to reading my Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, The Total Recall, his new autobiography, which like I've read his biography before because when I got like I rented like the biography at like a library, and I'm like, you know what? He's probably never gonna release an autobiography. I'm just gonna fuck it. I'll just get this biography. I'm not a big fan of biographies, but whatever. You know, I've always wanted to know Arnold Schwarzenegger's like life. As a kid, Arnold Schwarzenegger's always been my favorite actor, and I used to like scour A&E looking for the biography on Arnold Schwarzenegger. There'd always be every other fucking actor, but there'd never be one on Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We now do the A&E biography on Millie Vanilli.
Well, yeah, it's like and back then that's when you didn't have fucking DVRs and shit. You had a VHS and you had a TV guide. So you just looked at through the TV guide, fucking flipping through it and going, it's got to be here at some point. It's got to be here at some point. And it never was. If it was, I missed it just by some form of inaccuracy.
Yeah.
So when I got that biography though, I rented it and I looked up like a week later. I was like, oh, in like a year, his actual autobiography's coming out. Well, whatever. I got it already. I'll read it. So I read that. And, that gave kind of a cool like overview. Sometimes the one thing kind of cool about a biography, a regular biography, is you get to kind of hear stories from like friends and stuff. And sometimes those are kind of funny because it just comes from a different perspective. And I kind of like that.
Wasn't there one about him crashing a tank?
No, that was like that stuff wasn't in the biography. This is all like
autobiography.
Now that was in his autobiography. So the biography was good. Don't get me wrong, not a bad one. But an autobiography is always 10 times better, no matter what.
Definitely.
So like I've only got up till he's about like 22 or so in the book. And the one thing I like about it is Arnold Schwarzenegger does the really smart thing. He doesn't spend a whole lot of time on his childhood. That's one thing that always drives me up the wall in any autobiography is nobody gives a fuck about your childhood. Get it over. He got it over in like 20 pages, and that's all you really
Unless
need.
you're like a Holocaust survivor, what was so fucking interesting,
Well, yeah, it's just like those ones. That seems like Errol Flynn, his biography or autobiography. Bam, it was over in like 20 pages once again too. And so like, there we go. We got past this stuff. That's how I got to where I am. But it's like those kid stories are just not that interesting. I remember like in Keith Richards' book, it was like up to almost like 100 pages. It's like, okay, Keith, I get you were a kid. You like to sing to the radio and whatnot. It's just like one of those ones like
misunderstanding with his dad. I'm sure.
still really surprised that Keith Richards was able to his book's like 700 pages. Like I'm surprised he was able to remember that much.
I'm gonna get to that page. I'm gonna get to that eventually.
You should have bought it when they had it. It was on sale for like $6 that last time we were at Barnes and Noble.
I had like so many fucking books I have to read.
I'm just saying, just for how cheap it was, not for like
If I don't read it right when I get it, I never get around to it.
Yeah, that's the only downfall because then you always get more and more books that keep replacing it. That's the downfall of the books. They're not like because you can buy a lot of DVDs at once and you'll eventually get through them just because they're kind of short. But when you start buying especially comic books, you can still burn through those pretty fast. But when you get down to like real books, I always feel like you should never buy more than one at a time. Maybe two, but that's almost like pushing it.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, what's going to happen is you'll read one, and that next one, by the time you get to that next one, you'll get another book anyways, and then it just sits there for the rest of its life until maybe one day you read it.
I've had the Aerosmith autobiography for like 5 years, just sitting there, just looking at me.
And that one, it's a good one. It's the problem with the Aerosmith biography I kind of had was it did a thing where it was like it had too many people's opinions. Like, I just want Aerosmith the band. I don't care about the girlfriends and the managers and like everybody else in between. Who the fuck cares about their life? I didn't pick it up to read about them.
But you did pick up Arnold, so tell us more about Arnold's book.
No, Arnold's is sweet. I was so excited to get that. And he does a fantastic job with the photos in it. Because, a lot of autobiographies, they always have, like, photo sections.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes some of them, they just have, like, in the center, they got maybe 5 to 10 pages worth of photos. He's got about, like, 4 or 5 times through there. There's little, like, sections of all these photos. He's got, like, a lot of photos in there. And the cool thing, too, is at the very beginning of the photo section, like, the first one, it has, like, all these pictures of, like, bodybuilding pictures, but there's, like, about, like, 30 of them, like, these little ones, just him doing all kinds of poses.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the next section, and it's got all his movie posters in it, and it's like, that's really cool, just all of them on one page. And then you go to the next section, and it's got, like, all of his faces on, like, like, the magazines for when he was governor and stuff. And I just think that's kind of cool, just, like, all these little, like...
A good little collage they got going.
nice collages, and then it's got a lot of cool stuff in there. But no, the book so far, it's really funny. It's got great stories in it. It talks about, like, well, from when he was a kid to growing up, and then he was like he's in the army because over in those kind of countries, everybody joins the military. It's just like what you do. There's no way out of it. And so he decided to become like a tank police because the cool thing is you got to learn how to.
It's not like
Or
tank
not tank
patrol.
police.
It's tank
Or tank.
tank police. I'm just imagining going down Austria, just a tank. Just
I mean, not police. I mean,
fuck, I'm getting pulled over by a
Well-
tank again.
well, it's like because he even explains like countries like
Yeah,
that.
you had a tail light out. I had to pull you over. This is your third time I pull you over this week.
Well, it's funny because like he says like countries like this, the only reason they have armies is because they can. There's no point to these armies because it's not like they're ever gonna be in a war. They don't have enough manpower or anything. It's just there just to be there.
We got bored, so we said, let's get some guns and tanks. Just in case something happened. Not gonna happen, but just in case.
But all the kind of cool.
My
thing
Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation is getting worse as I talk.
is you got to learn the cool thing to become a tank driver. You got to learn everything else. So he got like his license to become a motorcycle driver. You got to learn how to be. You got a regular car license. Then he got like a semi truck license, and then a tank one. And then like he was there for a while, and he was still doing the bodybuilding at this point too, because that's right when he was starting, and he was winning like small awards and whatnot.
Was he always a good in shape kid, or was he ever a little fat kid at some point?
He was when he was really young, like from maybe like 1 to like 10 or 11 or 12. Apparently he was always sick when he was younger, like so it seemed like he was kind of like a weaker child. But then by the time he was 15, he started working out, and by the time he was like 19, he was in better shape than everybody else.
He was like Mr. Olympian by that time, wasn't he? By the time he was 19 or something.
Not Mr. Olympian yet. He won like a Mr. Austria, and then like he competed, like he got like second place in Mr. Universe by that point. And then I think by the time he was like 21 or something, he was like a 3-time Mr. Universe. Now, strangely enough, Mr. Universe sounds like that should be like the #1 title, but Mr. Olympia is actually a higher title than Mr. Universe.
Really?
It just was once. It just seems kind of weird. Like, so this little mountain in like a Greek story is more important than the entire universe. But
that's life.
No, like the tank part, he had funny stories because like one time he forgot to put the emergency brake on and it rolled into like a mud river or something like that, and then they had everybody come out and tow it out.
I just could see just the footage of just going down. You just see it go into a ditch. You just like quiet for a second. You just hear, "Oops!"
And then one time he accidentally backed it through a wall.
Oops! This is like a Family Guy skit right here.
And then at some point, because like apparently if you're a tank driver, just for the fact that they put so much time and effort and training and money into you, you're supposed to be in the military for 2 years. As in the regular people, they only have to be in the military for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
But then they realized that like Arnold Schwarzenegger, his dream was to do bodybuilding, and everybody they let him work out all over the place. They even bought fucking weights for him so he could work out like in the military.
I don't think our military would do that.
No, our military. Well, this is like in Austria. I just feel like they had the military sport just like something to do. It is nothing more than just something to do.
I'm sure, I think there's really only, I think there's the only I think as far as I can think, I'm sure there's some others out there, but the only Austrian that's become really popular just worldwide, aside from Hitler, I think is Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I'm wondering, do they all talk like, like, hello, they all have that kind of voicey thing? Because I'm just imagining, because if everyone in there is like becoming best friends with Arnold and just, like the whole army in there singing like happy birthday to him, and it's like happy birthday, just all at the same time. It's just like a room of Arnolds or whatever.
It's all like in German. But no, so they what the military decided is like it's only been 9 months, and they're like, well, you're into this bodybuilding thing, and you'll probably be, it'll probably be safer if you are not driving tanks for us anymore.
You just go ahead and go.
You're like, go do your dream. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh boy.
So then he goes on, and now it's just talking about like now it's in the bodybuilding part, which is really cool if you're into bodybuilding. I guess it was probably like those chapters. If you didn't know anything about bodybuilding, it probably wouldn't come across nearly as exciting. But then again, it'd be kind of strange to not be someone into bodybuilding if you're reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's biography or autobiography.
I just want to know what his inspiration is for the role of Terminator. Not downing Terminator. I love Terminator, but yeah.
But so that's kind of what that one kind of goes through, and that's about as far as I saw guys to all the bodybuilding parts, and I like that part, because really by the time he finally came to America, he really didn't know very much like English.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was staying in London for a bit, like doing some bodybuilding there, and he learned a little bit of like English there, but he didn't not until he really got about Los Angeles until he really started to actually like learn English because he started taking classes there. He's like, I need to learn how to speak English if I'm gonna be in this country. It was funny because they talk about like when he first showed up to Los Angeles, a couple of the bodybuilder guys like took him around town, just showing him all the sights and whatnot. And and it's like, oh, he wants to go see Hollywood. Well, let's go take him to Hollywood. And they go there during the daytime, and Arnold just the way he's like
crashes a tank into something. Oops.
No, well, he just looked and he like like it's funny because it says like, and they looked at me and they said that I had this look on my face or whatever, and they're like, oh, he looks disappointed. He was expecting more. And he just kind of says, he's like, it kind of blew me away because I came to Los Angeles and you kind of expect to see, like an action scene being shot over here, and you expect it to look really nice. It was like, no, it was run down and the pavement's all destroyed and it's all cracked. He's like, in Austria, if that pavement ever got cracked, they'd fix that in a second. Nothing would be like that. I was just kind of surprised. Then you go to Hollywood and it wasn't really anything but just a bunch of buildings. And it's like I guess I expected Los Angeles to look more like Las Vegas with all the lights and all kinds of stuff going on. He's like, and then we went to Las Vegas. He was like, at least that was what I expected. I was like, oh, he's disappointed. But so far, that's about as far as I got. Now he's just kind of, training at Gold's Gym and stuff. And pretty much this is like he's got like that ultimate life now. It's just like, get to hang out in the sun, work out, work at the gym, work out some more, go eat at like the buffets, go back. Somebody pays for all this.
He actually owns a tank now, doesn't he? I heard.
Yeah, he owns a tank. He actually he took one of the tanks from Austria, like one of the ones that's kind of like destroyed or something like that, and then restored it. And he has it like, I think he actually finally put it into like a museum or something like that. But yeah, he owns a tank nowadays.
Well, I was talking about a book called Batman: Death by Design, but
Death to all but designs.
But for an incentive, I'm going to save that for the last one. So, I'm actually gonna.
Now you got the Neil one.
I got the Neil Young autobiography, Waging Heavy Peace. And Neil Young I used to listen to classic rock all the time. I don't really listen to it that much. Classic rock's kind of one of those things. I have it on my MP3 player, and if it's on shuffle, like, oh, Jimi Hendrix, ooh, The Doors, that's cool. But generally, it's never something I really put on and listen to a whole lot now. The only classic rock bands I really actually will listen to a lot is, like, say, anything Iggy Pop's in, Fleetwood Mac. I know it's not the most masculine thing to say, but Fleetwood Mac, and then probably
Stones.
Oh, of course. How can I forget Stones? I don't know. Stones is my number one favorite band. I don't know how I drew a blank on the Stones. Stones, and then probably Neil Young.
Well, the one thing I always say about music, this has nothing to do with the book, but I always just feel that, like, no matter what, once you listen to a certain genre and certain period of music for so long, you kind of hear everything there is to it, and then it's like, okay, well, what else is there? So then you go to search for another genre and another time period of music and so on and find different bands. And that's kind of how I feel. It's not like it's not like you kind of like dump. It's like you kind of saw all there was to see there. And it's kind of nice to revisit it, but you want like a new avenue now.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Led Zeppelin. I love the Doors. I love the Byrds. I still listen to Beatles every here and there. It's just one of those things. I've heard it so much throughout my life now.
Just kind of progressing through music.
Yeah, so if it comes on my MP3 player and shuffle, that's cool. But the only, like I said, the bands I named off earlier are really the only ones I really seek through and actually have, like, by Fleetwood Mac, I mean, that's not a whole lot saying, because all I have is their greatest hits and then, like, one or two regular albums. But
back to Neil.
Neil Young, though, his book, I was just very interested in it because I assumed he already had an autobiography out, but he didn't. And his book's kind of different. Every so often, he goes on rants, treating his book generally like a daily journal. And
is it like a journal like Robert Rodriguez's book?
No, more of kind of like, I'm working on this book right now. Later today, I have to have a meeting with some music guys, and right now I got like, I got this idea that, because I fucking hate vinyl. I mean, I don't fucking hate it. I fucking hate digital music. I miss vinyl. I'm working on something called Pure Tone, which is it Pure Tone or Pure Sound, something like that. That he's working on, some kind of new digital format that he's trying to make, and he's trying to pitch it to different members of the music industry. He says, so far, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Beastie Boys, and those Mumford & Son kids want to help me out, so that's good. So I was driving my Cadillac and over to my studio, which is now, my farm is now a studio, and I actually almost hit somebody on my way there, but it's okay, so it's fine. She works for me. So going on, but
I threatened her with her job so she didn't sue me.
No, he said like his caterer was on the way there, and like he almost had a head-on collision because he wasn't expecting her, but it's fine, So it's literally almost kind of like there are certain chapters.
Just like what's going on?
What just happened today, And he says like, well, as I'm done writing this chapter, I'm about to go have a meeting. Wish me luck,
Well, it's kind of interesting in a sense. I guess because it's different. It's not like your standard autobiography.
And it's kind of scattered. His book really jumps through different places. Like there's another part where he's all like, Like one chapter, it's literally like a page and a half, saying I stubbed my fucking toe today, just not literally. There's a part where he says like, today I'm working on the book. I stubbed my fucking toe. Writing this right now because I just need something to do. I also quit smoking weed.
That was a bad idea. Because now I can't figure out anything else to in the chapter.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's interesting. It sounds like I'm just talking shit on it, but it really seems kind of like there are moments, because there are some interesting things in this book, especially if you're a Neil Young fan and you like Ruffalo Springfield and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
And everything Neil's been in.
Yeah, and there are moments where he'll go on, he opens up talking about how he loves, like the first 4 chapters, he's primarily talking about how much he loves model trains. He'll be like, yes, I got this beautiful set of model trains, and I always love model trains, and later today, David Crosby and Stephen Stills are gonna come in and we're gonna actually record in my studio. I always miss Crosby, but Crosby has a thing for heroin. He always loved his heroin. Anyway, but he saw all my trains. He mouthed to Stephen Stills, he's out of his mind. So then, I mean, Neil Young, I'm talking like he's Quentin Tarantino at 60, but really, it's probably more like, yeah, really, if this is like,
yo, Neil, you playing with your fucking toys again?
The way I'm voicing him, it's probably more like, yeah, I'm Neil Young and I love my trains. But the way how much he's writing and how much he just switches from topic to topic, it almost sounds like Quentin Tarantino's writing this book.
Sporadic.
Yeah. And going on, and that's where he leads into. He kind of like first 3 chapters, he's just kind of bouncing around from things to things, and he goes to Ontario. He goes to, I think it was Ontario. I think he was born in Ontario. Talks briefly about his mother and his father and his relationship with them, and how he had polio for a little while, but then he got out of that, and then going into music.
He got out of polio.
Yeah, got out of polio. He got fixed. He got fixed. He got cured of polio.
Oh, that's good. A lot of people
he got out, and people
don't just really get out of that so easily.
He escapes. Yeah. No, he doesn't have it now, I guess, but no, he's fine. So, then he pretty much goes on to talk about you'll have like some random stories. Like there's a part that he goes to talk about he got a '59 Cadillac convertible. He called Nanu. There's a part he says one day we were just like him and a few other band members, and sometimes just take random snapshots. Sometimes they'll help focus on a particular incident. And he's like, we were driving, coked out of our fucking minds down the highway. Then all of a sudden, a cop pulls us over, and we're not even scared. And I just lean to the cop. Was Neil? I forgot what I have it written down here. He says the cop pulls him over. He says, what's wrong with driving a Cadillac what's wrong with driving a Cadillac down Malibu? That's what this is made for. He's just totally fucking wide-eyed, coked out.
That's hilarious.
And the cop's all like, okay, you kids just take it easy. Gets back in the car. They just drive off no problem.
This is Neil Young.
Yeah.
It's like those stories they have Rodney Dangerfield.
Well, this is before.
Who Rodney Dangerfield is so badass that he could be smoking a joint as a cop's talking to him on the side of the road, and the cop's not going to do anything because it's Rodney Dangerfield.
What the fuck you want, officer? Well, keep in mind.
Take a hit. Oh, I got to make the job a lot easier.
No respect for you. You got no respect. No.
I'll get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah.
I got a job to do. I'm like, yours?
Tell your wife I said hi. Ha ha. Drives off.
And the cop's just like,
no,
flicks
ash on the cop's
missus is
badge.
never going to believe that I met the Dangerfield today.
Well, no, I don't even think it's so much it's Neil Young, whatever. I think it's one of those things. This is before people really knew, it was just that's the man on the radio. Unless they went to the concert, honey,
the man on the radio.
They wouldn't really know who it was unless they saw him in concert. So, and they usually didn't show him that much on TV. So I thought I'm surprised he got out of it because it was a couple of fucking long-haired hippies. Yeah, you think
Get
it'd be
a job.
He just pulls out his riot stick, starts beating up Neil Young right there on the thing. Then he goes on to say there's a part where he talks about how he got into the music scene, and I think he was in Ontario. He was he's in Winnipeg. He got in the music scene in Winnipeg. He was jumping from band to band. Within there, that's where he met Bruce Palmer from from Buffalo Springfield.
Oh, that's cool.
He also met Stephen Stills in there too. And they're not playing. Well, eventually he lands with Bruce Palmer in how do you pronounce it?
So what's
Mine and Birds or something like that?
Is that
Mine
Neil
and
Young's
Birds?
first? What's Neil Young's first band?
His first band, not including high school. No, I'm not going to count.
Yeah, not
including. A band called the Squires.
Well, technically, what I always say, your first band generally is whatever you record something with.
I don't know if he did any recordings, but
Because I always just feel like, yeah, you played music, but like it only really counts if you recorded it.
Mina Birds, I believe, is the first one he recorded. He was doing a band. He was going around he was going around in Winnipeg, and he got kind of big in the music scene. Like, oh, Winnipeg, we're awesome here. Next stop, Toronto, and
What
not
the
so
fuck
much
are you?
luck. Yeah, he used the cliche, bit small fish in a big pond. So from there, when he tried, that band broke up after a while, and he actually went into he went into what was it? Because he was in the Squires for a while, and then he went to do like some solo stuff, just him and a guitar by himself, and that didn't pan out too well. It pans out fine for him now. Then it didn't.
Yeah, he can do that all he wants, but
that song "Lonesome Me" that he has on the album after the Gold Rush.
okay, yeah, I have that one.
He actually did that song in a bar, and everyone just started fucking laughing at him. Look at this fucking guy that has feelings. You know, it was almost
that's
like
how
that.
David Bowie started out too. He was like that, like until he saw Iggy Pop, he was that guy who just played like guitar and had meaning, and like he didn't really fit in like the hippie community, but like it's one of those ones like if an outsider would look at this and be like, what do you mean doesn't fit the hippie community? He looks like the same fucking thing, but it was almost like he did like grunge rock style songs, like a Nirvana, like.
I have David Bowie's first album, and I'll be honest with you, I think he was gayer before he discovered glitter.
Yes, because there's like too much emotions and stuff.
Well, he had a song, I think it was called like Uncle Tom. It was just like some weird song like that, or Uncle Benji, or just something like that. It was just, because I like David Bowie. I love Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, I like David Bowie. I like him. He's not one of my favorite musicians. I have a lot of respect for him. But his acoustic stuff, I'm not really big on that. I really like what you said. I really like his glam stuff, though.
Yeah, because once he saw Iggy Pop, he was like, well, look at that.
Yeah. That's Iggy. So.
That guy's putting his hands down his pants.
And then stabbing himself in the chest, you know? And spitting blood out.
When you say it like that, like he put his hands down his pants and stabbed himself in the chest.
Stabs himself in the chest.
Dick.
I didn't mean that. He just blows a load on
grabs his dick and just
blows a load. Blows a load on his chest. Just starts rubbing it. That's just metal. That's like metal as fuck right there. No, but well, Iggy Pop. I'll jump back to Neil Young in a second. But Iggy Pop, before I even heard any of his music, before I knew anything about him, someone was just talking about him, so I just looked him up on Google Images. I just saw a picture of him, like, in the mid-'70s, like, oh, that motherfucker has to be dead. I'm just like, yeah, when did Iggy Pop die? It's like, Iggy Pop's still alive. How the fuck is that possible? I saw a picture of how he looked in the 70s. There's no way he's still alive.
Yeah.
But he is, and good for him, and I'm happy about that, because I love his music. That was before I even listened to him. I just knew of him. But back on Neil Young, though. So then he goes around, and he, during that whole music scene, he ended up getting into like Mina Birds. I think that's how you pronounce the name. It's Mynah Birds. So anyway, he gets into them. He gets with Bruce Palmer, and he's recording with a guy named Ricky James Matthews. I don't know if that's a name I should know, but yeah. And he refers to him as like the Black Mick Jagger. And he says primarily what they were doing at the beginning is they're primarily just doing a lot of Stone covers. And there's this one show that this part just cracked me up.
Oh, yeah?
He's like, we were at this one show, and this is when I started to get a little bit more into drugs. I was high out of my mind on pills. And we were just, like I said, they were doing Stone covers and all that. And we were just up there, just blasted, just rocking out. At some point, I just unplug my guitar and stage dive. That was a high school gig. It's just
so fucking
you listen to an album like, Comes a Time or Harvest or Zuma, and it's hard to imagine Neil Young stage dive. I seen him at Bridge Benefit and just be like, "Hi, my name is Neil Young. This is a song called Old Man." Oh man, look at my life. It's just hard to imagine that motherfucker just wide-eyed, tripping on pills, just stage diving. But anyway, then he follows it up with, that night we got signed. So,
well, it panned out.
Panned out for a little while. We got signed on by Motown, And then Ricky James Matthews, which I don't know if that's a name I should know. Have you ever heard that name before?
Oh, it sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. But anyway, he was their lead singer. They got in Motown. They were recording and everything was going good. But then what ended up happening is he got busted for draft dodging. So they lost their lead singer.
He should pull Jim Morrison. Just said he was gay.
Yeah. The recruiter's like, prove it.
Prove it.
Oh yeah, he's gay. No doubt there. Now swallow
flavor.
Yeah, let's beat him. You know.
Well, I didn't look him in the eye. There's nothing gay about that, right, boys? Right.
Yes, sir.
Hoorah.
Was that before the hoorah? I thought the hoorah.
I don't know when that
80s.
came around. Well,
Anyway, so like, all right, well, we lost our lead singer, but we'll get through this. Then their manager OD'd. So their manager OD'd the next day, and he OD'd on the money. He got all the heroin.
He OD'd on money. What did he just smoke a bunch of money? Like
no, that was the money that he used money to buy the advance they got, all the money they made in that. He used it to buy heroin and OD'd on all that.
That's hilarious.
And that's where I left off on the book.
That book sounds amazing, actually. At first, I remember when you explained to me, and like you was just kind of talking about just like the regular day. I'm like,
well, that was just like one chapter right there.
Well, that chapter sounded badass.
Yeah. No, it is a good book. If you like Neil Young, check it out. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are moments where he just kind of drags on, and he just kind of like just takes a while. But it is a pretty good book. It's pretty enjoyable. I mean, it's never boring. He always has something to say. It just there's some chat like it just jumps around. So it ends with him saying, well, after that, and he said before all that, he went to New York, didn't pan out, went to Toronto the next day. And after all that stuff that went down with Minor Birds, he said, all right, well, I guess I'm going back to Toronto with Bruce Palmer. And that's where that chapter ends.
Interesting. That sounds like a pretty good one so far.
Yeah.
And then it's a nice, interesting mix of stuff. Who expected to have a DC Comics New 52 and Neil Young discussion in the same
and Arnold
Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger. We went everywhere. But before, we're going to wrap it up here, but I got an email once again.
Oh, sweet.
From a person that, gosh, people.
Thank you for the emails. This. Thank you for the emails, folks.
Alvin, I can pronounce that part. And then it's Yakatori. Actually, that was easy to pronounce. What am I complaining about? And it says, the best podcast ever. You guys are so awesome. You guys are on my top 10 favorite list of things. And he lists his top 10 here. Okay, here's the top 10. Number 1 is Don Cheadle.
Oh, damn.
Number 2 is Morgan Freeman's voice.
I love Morgan Freeman's voice, too.
You gotta love Morgan Freeman. Number 3 is Cheese Doodles. I don't know what Cheese Doodles are.
They're like, I want to say they're kind of like Cheetos.
Oh, okay. So, different kinds of Cheetos. Number 4 is Scottish voices.
Scottish voices are awesome.
Number 5 is Kool-Aid Guy.
Who doesn't love the Kool-Aid Guy? Maybe not Kool-Aid itself, but the Kool-Aid Guy's badass.
Number 6 is Old Man Orange Podcast. So we're right below the Kool-Aid Guy. It's okay. He was he started everybody's childhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 7 is Jet Set Radio.
That's pretty awesome.
Number 8 is Cows. Number 9
I like beef.
And Napoleon Dynamite. And then number 10 is hard metal reggae punk music.
Very versatile.
Yeah, very versatile. Got a lot of stuff on there, and I'm proud to see that we're on that list.
The guy's name is Alvin what?
Alvin Yakatori.
Alvin Yakatori. Thank you very much, and don't be afraid to send us emails.
Yeah, send us emails, everybody. That'd be awesome. Check out the site oldmanorange.com.
And were you gonna say something else right there, or was that it?
I probably was.
All right, go ahead. Finish that.
I'll say send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. And like us, comment us, iTunes us, and write a review, put a 5-star. I don't care, do something cool like that. But now we're just gonna end really quickly on the Batman one, since we already mentioned it.
Yeah, Batman: Death by Design. I'll try and wrap this up really quick. This one, I mean, I don't know how new this is. I know it came out in 2012. I've seen it like the first time I seen it this year. The art style, it's by a guy named, what was the guy's name? I have it written down here.
The art style was pretty cool when I was flipping through it. I didn't read it, but
it's by a guy named Chip Kidd and Dave Taylor. And when I first looked at this book, I just assumed it was kind of like one of those. It is a standalone story, but I assumed it was just one of those kind of like, oh, alternate universe kind of Batman stories. This actually takes place during the Golden Age and doesn't like hide it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like it has kind of like a noir, black and white style, very artistic. The artwork is straight out beautiful. It involves architecture, and generally what it's about is it's kind of cool because Batman, it's kind of like he looks kind of like old school Batman, like Bob Kane Batman, but very
badass.
very well detailed.
Awesome.
Very well detailed Bob Kane Batman is how he looks, and everything has that very 1940s look to it. And there's a little bit of color within it, like like Joker's lipstick is red, his hair is green. If there's an explosion, there you see.
That's cool.
It's
I
kind
like
of
that kind of
like
design.
Sin City.
Like Sin City. That's always a cool design.
And the artwork is just beautiful. It has this very black and white noir style to it. Very nice. And generally, what it's about is what inspired it. Generally, what inspired the story was the two real events actually, which was the 1963 demolition of the original Pennsylvania station and the Manhattan crane collapse of 2008. Because what happens is it opens up with Bruce Wayne, who's kind of younger. It's kind of more of a younger, cockier Batman.
Mm-hmm.
He's about to demolish Wayne Station, which people consider to be one of the greatest achievements in America. He says, "Look, the place is falling apart. It's not well maintained. We got to get rid of it." And there's a lot of people saying, "Don't do it. It's a historical monument. You can't do this."
Well, that's kind of the American style, really, is they'll just like destroy things and build over them. As in, where like Europe, they kind of keep that shit around for many of years, and that's why you can actually see shit that's pretty old.
Yeah, and he says like, "Listen, we just got to get rid of it. That's what's going on." And
Fuck
somebody
I own it.
Is your name on the fucking building? I don't think so.
You pay the fucking taxes on that? Shut the fuck up.
That's how the book opens up. No, not literally like that, but So then what ends up happening is at a press conference, a crane falls down, almost hitting Bruce Wayne, and there's this guy named Exacto who looks kind of like a fusion of a night owl from Watchmen and the Rocketeer. He looks like a fusion of that. That's kind of cool. And he's a guy he's more of kind of like, I guess he sort of reminds me of what's his name, of Mirror Master. Like he could appear like he's there and he'll set up traps and all that. He's not really a physical kind of character. He'll make it look like he's there. Like he'll send some kind of image of himself and then he'll like set explosives somewhere. Kind of like a mind-based kind of character. He's sort of a villain, sort of a hero at the same time. And what ends up happening is we find out this guy is going after somebody who generally, he's going after the current contractor on the building who wants to completely destroy it, do a bunch of new things to it. And we find out this guy is actually the son of the original architect who his plan was flawless, but the guy, he was backed up by the mob, and for whatever reason, I don't remember all the details, he says, "Look, we're going to use this cheaper shit, and I'm going to come after your son if you don't do what I say." So this is the son grown up trying to get even with this guy.
Huh.
And this guy's actually an architect as well. And what ends up happening is the guy's sort of kind of like a hero villain at the same time, but at the end he becomes a hero generally. And he's hired to make the new station. So it's a very good book. I highly recommend it. Check it out.
Yeah, that one looked really cool. Just by flipping through it, it was one of those books, by looking at it the first time and not even reading it, just by looking at the artwork and like kind of where it was going, it was like, I don't even have to know what the fucking story is. This looks cool.
Not even so much. I mean, not that the story's bad. The story is very simplistic, but it's more of just the artwork and the story together, bring it together, just make an awesome package. So check that book out, Batman: Death by Design. And also company I forgot to mention earlier on in the when I was naming off, it's a guy named Colin and his wife Erin. They came out with a pretty cool movie. They're coming out with a horror film called Anniversary. It's kind of like they described it as Bridesmaids meets Cabin Fever, and they showed a trailer for it. Looked really good. Fate versus Faith Productions. Check those guys out. They're pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, just want to do that.
I like Cabin Fever. Didn't care too much for Bridesmaids.
I saw a trailer for it, and they said it was more of like it looked kind of reminded me of like the Red State teaser, because what they showed was they showed like soft music over it, then it showed cut between the girls laughing, having a good time. It was about 5 girls out in a cabin trying to get over. One of her husband just died, so we're gonna go up in the cabin.
Is it like supposed to be a comedy though?
No, not a
Okay,
comedy.
well that's fine then, because when I heard the word bridesmaids, it just reminds me like, get ready for some wacky adventures.
They said
and
it.
some horror.
It's kind of like just it's more like a horror movie, but it has some like the dialogue between the characters. It just happens to be kind of funny. That's what they said.
Okay.
And the footage in it cut between them just having a good time and laughing with soft music over it, but then like some scary, like disturbing footage of one of them like crying, all bloody, someone like crawling through like the basement, all like gagged and bound and stuff like that. So the
Interesting.
movie's called The Anniversary. I believe they're on post production.
Cool. Well, there's all kinds of things to check out. I recommend every single one of the books that we have talked about. Even if I haven't read it myself, I think we all appreciate what we read.
Once I'm done with Neil's, I like to check out Arnold's.
Yeah, all kinds of good stuff. Well, I guess is where we're going to end it at. So I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
Yeah.
See you guys later.